Is this a clickbait title? Maybe. Is it true? Absolutely.
Welcome to the Love Siren Podcast, your weekly dose of enchantment for the modern romantic. I'm Dahlia, your queer, poly, feminist witch, guiding you into your most magnetic, irresistible siren self. If you're craving ocean-deep love, delicious confidence, and results that last, you've just unlocked the right portal. Thank you so much for being here. Let's get into it.
I don't even know where to begin with this episode because Witchcraft has given me so much inner strength and peace, but also has been so good for my executive functioning. But let's go ahead and just start with anxiety. So, anxiety is a very normal human response to stress. When it becomes concerning is when you start worrying excessively over things that are out of your control and your tolerance for that is low. One of the absolute worst things that you can do for anxiety is avoidance. And so for me, these spells that I'm about to give to you are a way for me to feel in control of a situation that feels uncontrollable. I mentioned in the last episode that I was really struggling with anxiety around my face being stolen by AI. And so, of course, my initial instinct is to do a protection spell around this. So I did exactly that. I grabbed my favorite photo of myself and I drew a bunch of protective sigils on it. And I also did a declaration that I was the only one who could have my face. No one else could steal my face. Do I think that this is going to stop AI from stealing my face? I don't know. It's possible it might not. But at the very least, I have put my declaration out into the universe. I have put my order into the cosmic waitress to say that I don't want AI stealing my face. And at the very least, that makes me feel better. So what's the harm? I also mentioned last time that I had some anxiety around my ex, and so I created an enchant your name spell. The point of this is I wrote my name, I wrote my business name down on a piece of paper, and I said, anybody who speaks this name, good or bad, is transmuted into abundance. So whenever somebody says your name, that is energy directed towards you. And the more vile it is, the more energy that is going to siphon from you. So instead, we want to take that energy that this person is giving to us for free and we want to transmute it into something that is for our benefit. Before I even started posting on social media, I created 4 wards inside of my house to make sure that I was completely protected. If you are magically in Las Vegas, you can go to my favorite metaphysical store, Crystal Cartel, where I have a bunch of home protection spells. All you need to do is light a candle. I have done all of the work for you. But if you are not in Las Vegas, here's a different ward that I think it's quite easy and very effective. Just again, to make you feel just like a little bit more in control. This is what I did for myself. However, I want you to feel really encouraged and empowered that if you don't have an ingredient that is listed in this spell, just replace it. So think of it like a salad, right? If I have almonds listed in my salad recipe and you only have walnuts, it's still going to be delicious. Just trust your intuition because at the end of the day, we're really just talking about the intention behind this. We are putting in that order to the cosmic waitress that we want this to be a protection spell. And the nitty-gritty parts of it are significantly less important. Okay, so you want to grab a jar, anything that you can seal. For myself, I used an old coffee jar, and you want to add your hair. So I grabbed the hair that was on my hairbrush. If you have pets or anyone else that lives in your home, like a spouse or children, I would highly recommend adding their hair to this spell as well. Of course, you want to get their consent if you can. And then I also grabbed dust bunnies from my vacuum, and I wrote on a piece of paper everything. everything. I wrote my birthday, my name, my social security number, my VIN number of my car, my license plate, my phone number, my phone type, just anything that I wanted to protect in this spell, I added it. And if you have some anxiety about having all of that information on one piece of paper, first of all, you're correct. Second of all, you can burn that piece of paper and have the ashes inside of that spell jar, or you can use white ink on white paper or black ink on black paper. There's a lot of ways to be able to do this. You can also tear it and just have the pieces inside of it, whatever makes you feel comfortable, because if you feel scared, then that's going to counteract the intention of the spell. So then I added tons of protection herbs, rosemary, sage, lavender, mugwort, and garlic. I also added 3 different types of salt. Classic overachiever, we have white, black, and pink. If you only have white, by all means, it is going to be just as great. I have a tree outside of my house that I have asked to protect my house, and I grabbed some pine needles that had fallen from that tree and I added that in there. I also grabbed a pine cone from that tree and I put that on top. Once everything was inside of the jar, I tie it up with a string. I really like to think of this like you're lacing up your shoes and you're just kind of like, great, I'm ready to go. And then I sealed it up with black wax. Again, if you only have access to white wax, that works just as well. You can always go back through and add Sharpie to it if you want it to be black. And then I just leave this in a corner of my closet, somewhere that people can't find it. Primarily people who come into my home that are not witchy, who might see it and just kind of be like, what is wrong with you? Just something that would like decrease the effectiveness of that spell. And again, it's because they're putting doubt in my mind, not so much the actual jar itself. If you like this spell and you're interested in more protective magic, please let me know. It's one of my favorite things, and honestly, I feel like it can be missed a lot, especially if you're a beginner witch, because you get really excited. You're like, of course I want an abundance spell. And without that protection, it's like kind of like driving without your seatbelt. Like most likely it's probably going to be fine, but if on the off chance it's not fine, you want to have that protection in place. After the pandemic, I definitely developed a touch of agoraphobia. I was really scared to leave my house, even for very simple things like going to the movies. I just had this low-level anxiety that something bad was going to happen to me. And these spells that I have put in place make me feel so much better that I can kind of calm that voice. Because at the end of the day, that voice is just trying to keep me safe. But it's also stopping me from living my life. And that is where the anxiety becomes a problem. Again, anxiety is a very normal, good thing. You should have anxiety if you are going into a situation where there's like 10 tigers. Like you should be scared, right? But the problem with anxiety is when it interferes with the everyday pieces of your life. So yeah, I don't think it's an exaggeration to say that witchcraft cured my anxiety, but there's also some mundane reasons why too. Therapy being number 1, but number 2, having a savings account. My God, having a savings account makes me feel so safe. But again, that's also an example of how I have such a strong relationship with my past self and my future self. My savings account is a direct example of how my past self has set me up for success right now. And I can use that as direct evidence to help me with my future self in knowing that I'm going to be okay no matter what is thrown my way, including the risks that I take today to try to help propel my future self into success. I also want to talk about how witchcraft has helped my executive functioning so much. So I have dyslexia and ADHD, and very classic, just feel like I see time so massively different than other people. And so at points in my life, it has been incredibly difficult for me to do pretty basic human functions like feed myself on a regular basis or tidy up after myself. I feel like it's a very classic out of sight, out of mind situation where sometimes I would leave something in the fridge and I feel like the next moment I opened the fridge, it would be moldy and disgusting and I couldn't bring myself to like clean it out. But thanks to Witchcraft, now I have a schedule for these things. So always on the full moon, I do a deep clean in my house. The full moon is really great for releasing and it's really good for that cleansing. And then on the new moon, I set my intentions that I want for that month. But obviously, this is just 2 days of the month, and I need a little bit more structure than that. So I also really love to incorporate the planetary days. So every day of the week is associated with a planet. I'm going to start with Sunday, which you may have guessed it, it's related to the sun. And you can think of this as the energy day. So this is a great day for relaxing, but in that very restorative way. So doing some reading or doing some creative work is really great for this. Also to do reflection, but in a very masculine way. So doing that work on your growth. Maybe there's a class that you are taking to help you. Maybe there's a self-development book you're working through. Maybe you need to come up with a list of actionable steps to help you reach your goals. Next, we have Monday, which is associated with the moon. Obviously, the moon reflects the sun's light, and so that's a really good mnemonic to remember that Mondays are really good for reflection. And I mean this more in a feminine way. So doing a lot of journaling and setting intentions for what you are hoping to achieve, and also preparing for the week. So again, just kind of doing that brain dump document of like, what are all of the things that I need to think about for this upcoming week? Tuesdays are associated with Mars, which is all about action. So after you've spent the last couple of days thinking about your to-do list, this is a great day to really start chipping away at all of those tasks that you need to do. It's also a great day to start a new project, and it's really great if you do intense workouts on Tuesdays. Wednesdays are associated with Mercury, which is all about communication. So this is a great day for catching up on work calls or doing brainstorming sessions with a friend. It's also a great day for long-term planning. Thursdays are my partner's favorite day of the week. It is associated with Jupiter, which is all about expansion. So today is a great day to focus on your gratitude and also update your budget. It's another day that's really good on working on your goals, but I really like to think of it like when you're tapping into that version of yourself that has already completed the goal and tapping into those feelings of accomplishment. And you can also ask your future self questions too. You can ask them, how did you get here? Is there things that you wish that you had thought about that you want to communicate to me now? I also do my budget monthly, so I really like to schedule doing that time for the first Thursday of the month. Fridays are associated with Venus, which is all about love. I love keeping my Friday evenings free. I really try to prioritize my self-care on Friday nights. I think it's a great way to close out the week and also just make sure that I am, again, restoring that energy back to myself. But it's also a great day to spend time with your loved ones and socialize. And the last day of the week, if you are playing along at home, you may know that it is Saturday. Saturday is associated with Saturn, which is all about discipline. So Saturdays are a great day to get all of your chores done. Also really good for tying up any of those loose ends on those projects that you started the week prior. So those are all of the days of the week, but we also have planetary hours. This is an ancient Hellenistic timekeeping system that splits day and night into the hours associated with each planet. So for this podcast, I am currently recording it on Thursday, Jupiter, the planet of expansion, and I'm doing it within the hour of Mercury, which is all about communication. So if you are someone who also struggles with procrastination, I highly recommend incorporating the planetary hours into your day. Because if I just said, oh, I'm going to record the podcast sometime on Thursday, it would probably happen like 20 minutes before bed. But because I'm specifically wanting to do it during the Mercury hour, it means that I have blocked off this time. I made sure that all of my notes were ready to go beforehand. And here we are. I also just feel like witchcraft just makes my life more fun. Like, I don't know if I would have even noticed that I had rosemary plants outside of my house until I started working on those protection spells. And I realized, oh my God, rosemary is an incredible protection plant. And here's one right outside my door. I don't know if I would have developed such a cute relationship with the tree that's outside of my window if I didn't have this little whimsical side of myself. Even silly things like when I'm stirring my coffee, I stir clockwise to call in something and I stir counterclockwise to banish something. It means that every single day I start the day with an intention. And I think that for a lot of people, they can feel a little directionless, or they can feel like time is speeding up like crazy because every day just seems the same. And I feel like witchcraft is a really fun excuse to practice that mindfulness every day. It's a great excuse to break up the monotony. Even just knowing what astrological season we're in can offer a lot of direction. So, for example, I'm recording this podcast during Aries season. Aries is so much fun because it includes the spring equinox and it also marks the astrological new year. Aries is a fire sign and it sparks initiative, courage, and high energy action. It urges people to be bold and to take action and pursue new beginnings. I love this time of year because when you think about spring, this is really when you start to see life again. You start seeing buds on trees. You start seeing the leaves of all of those seeds that you planted earlier that year. Again, I am a very grounded witch. Do I think that if I did a high intensity workout on Wednesday, which is associated with Mercury, instead of on Tuesday, that it would lose its effectiveness? No. But does it mean that at least minimum once per week I do a high intensity workout in dedication to Mars? Yeah. Isn't that great? Isn't it amazing that I'm able to take care of my body and also practice my spirituality all in one? I'm so curious if this inspires you to take a different approach to your organizational system within your life. It's also a really fun experiment. Like, what would happen if you just tried this for a month? What do you think would be different? I'm so curious on your thoughts, so please get in touch. I would absolutely love to hear from you. One of the other ways that I help structure my life is by utilizing both my human design and my astrology. What's about to come out of my mouth is going to be very specifically vague, but please just stick with me. In my human design, one of the ways that I know that I'm out of alignment is I experience frustration. And one of the ways that I know that I'm in alignment is I experience satisfaction. So, of course, just listening to that sentence, you're going to be like, well, of course you're going to experience frustration and satisfaction. But the thing that really helped me is that now every time I experience frustration, it's like, wait a minute. I know this feeling. And it makes me actually take the time to step back for a second and really evaluate the situation rather than I think what I used to do, which was just like push through the frustration because I knew that it was a frustrating experience. Of course, what I'm experiencing is normal. But instead, now I'm able to look at the situation and be like, is there anything that I can change in this situation? If you're at all curious about your own human design, it's a really neat way to explain how you're energetically supposed to move through this world. I offer readings. I'll leave the link below if you're at all interested. But I think we're done. Thank you so much, as always, for listening. I can't wait to chat with you in the next episode.